He
What up,
is
Dale?
Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen and Jacoby. What is it that we do?
We give the people what they want.
Well, Richard Sherman wants Jerry Jones to say something. Here is what one of our favorite athletes had to say about the matter. He said the following, quote, "It's not pulling NFL owners like it is the rest of the country, because if it was, then they'd speak. Jerry Jones especially has no problem speaking up on any other time about anything else, but when it's such a serious issue and he could really make a huge impact on it with a few words, his silence speaks volumes." Since Richard Sherman said this, Des Bryant has defended Jerry Jones. What do you think about Jerry Jones' silence?
White silence is violence, and I appreciate Richard Sherman doing the distinction, in particular for Jerry Jones, because he is loud on all things football. He is very loud on all things collective bargaining, but he's extremely quiet when it's time to talk about Black Lives Mattering and I Can't Breathe that's taking place not only in the country, in particular in Texas, where George Floyd was born and raised. And so here's what I propose for the NFL owners. Do a video the way the players did and put all of the owners in there and tell us why Black Lives Matter to you. If they don't do that, NBA players, if they're not doing that, NFL players, that's something for you to now consider. I think this is an opportunity for both leagues to start that transparency and see if it creates a domino effect throughout the other professional sports.
Now, I love this idea of yours of the owners doing a video like the players did, sort of making a statement through a collective statement with all their faces in it. Because one thing that is striking in all of these leagues is how different the faces of the owners look versus the faces of the players. And I think it'd be very important for them to make that statement. Now, one of the original statements against police brutality and for equality was made by Colin Kaepernick. It wasn't truly a statement. He was just taking a knee before games. We all know what happened. That cost him his career. There are a lot of voices sort of calling for Colin Kaepernick to get back in the league. That includes Malcolm Jenkins. Matt Ryan says he deserves an opportunity, and also Steve Kerr. Kaepernick himself says he is more motivated to play now than ever. Jalen, do we see Colin Kaepernick with the team in training camp this season?
I see him back in the league because he was never out of the league based on performance. He was out of the league based on the fact that he was against police brutality against black and brown people and chose to protest silently at his job, and therefore he got whiteballed from the league. And so now that the movement has gone mainstream, people are now all of a sudden not necessarily losing endorsements and appearances, and corporations won't be shying away from the way they used to, people being outspoken about oppression and racism in this country.
And if people forget, but Colin Kaepernick, remember all the drama around that workout that he had, where it was supposed to be at this place at this time, and it was going to be on a Saturday where teams couldn't make it? That just seems like such an odd saga that there wasn't truly an attempt for people to evaluate how good he is at playing the quarterback position. I think he needs to go to a training camp and play his way on. Like that, it's not even that much at stake. If you are a team, why not take a shot? We've seen what he can do when he is on the field. And even in his last game as a quarterback, he played pretty well. I think he needs to be in a training camp this year, and I'm shocked that he hasn't even been committed to a team at this point. It absolutely has to happen as far as I'm concerned. I think it will. Now it'll see if he is good enough to play his way into a starting or a backup position on the team, which I would love to see him in the uniform this year. And Jalen, do you anticipate a lot of players like Kaepernick taking a knee for the anthem when play does finally resume?
See, a lot of these guys, and myself in particular, Jacoby, we stand on the shoulders of giants. Look over my shoulder. You see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jim Brown, Bill Russell. You see those guys, right? Muhammad Ali, the late great. At a time when they were protesting, 98% of the people were black. Now the movement has gone mainstream. Blacks now live in the suburbs. There's more mixed families. And your parents who grew up in America that looked a lot different, if they're 55 and older, well, their kids and their nieces and nephews don't feel like that anymore. So now to see white kids in the suburbs and or the city holding up signs to say Black Lives Matter, that's a level of progress that we have not had. And so for people like Colin, he made it vogue for people to have a voice, because the first time he did it, 12 people probably took a knee. But this time, it's going to be hundreds of people that take a knee. And that's because Colin made the sacrifice of his career.
I also think that, and this is just something I just thought of, I think you will also see fans take a knee for the anthem, not just the players on the field. It'd be really interesting to see when this comes back and the NFL finally returns. Well, when the NFL does return, it is Jameis Winston on a new team, and he's very confident about his quarterbacking ability. Here's what Jameis Winston had to say. I know what I'm worth, and I know day in, day out, without publicly coming in and saying it, that historically, I'm one of the best quarterbacks to play the game. There are also reports that he's lost weight, that he's gone vegan, which is really disappointing because I love crab legs. I know he loves crab legs. I'm sure he's got to sneak in some crab legs there and again. But what do you think about Jameis Winston saying that historically he is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game?
This is a hustle and learn year for Jameis, who led the league in passing yards last season, yet he's going to make $1 million and play behind Drew Brees this year. And I applaud his confidence. It almost reminds me of the video. I saw him licking his fingers, talking about a team was going to get a W. It's just like, okay, I figured out what it is. A rational confidence. I talk to you about that all of the time. What do you think? I'm sitting in a locker room saying when y'all watching Last Dance and Michael Jordan trying to get his 6th championship, I'm like, we about to end that. The rest of the world not believing it. The same thing when you're young. I'm going to the league. People looking at me, I'm skinny, got bumps on my face, can't really shoot, can't really dribble. You going to the league? Ha, 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 ha. That irrational confidence is what makes professional athletes elevate themselves and put themselves in position to be successful. Now, what he's saying isn't accurate, but I understand why he says it.
I like that he used the word historically, because usually when people look at history, they look at numbers and records. And last season, he did something that no quarterback has ever done before. Historically, he outperformed other quarterbacks with no one had ever thrown 30 interceptions and 30 touchdowns in the same season. So historically, he is one of the best quarterbacks to play the game, technically, by the numbers. It is time for some very important news that matters. Jalen, there's a lot of discussion about Michael Jordan on the wave of The Last Dance. But Michael Jordan isn't just a great basketball player. Apparently, he is also a great fisherman. Now, he didn't do this alone. He's with a crew. But this crew, look at the size of that fish. That is a 442-pound fish that they caught, Jalen. What do you think about Michael Jordan's 400-pound fish?
It's really impressive, but I can't front, and I need help from the audience, and I need your help, Jacoby. For those that don't know,
don't say it.
I've never been fishing. I've never been
fished
fishing.
either. I've never fished either. Is
So
fishing cultural? Is fishing cultural? I saw his crew. A lot of people on his crew looked more like me than they looked like you. Not the most
here's
diverse
what I want to
boat
say.
Michael Jordan had there.
It seems like if you're having a competition, you're going to go somewhere with a lot of fish, which means somebody's going to catch a huge fish. So if Michael Jordan didn't catch this one and his crew, wasn't somebody else going to catch it?
Jalen, that's not how fish work. It's not like we're all searching for one single fish in a closed pond. Fish can swim freely around the globe wherever they would like. So that fish could have just gone the entire day without getting caught. That is how fish work. I will tell you more during this very short break. Only 2 minutes, and we're coming right back. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. We tailored a segment just so Jalen Rose can decide what we discuss. It is called Keep It Moving. So, if you would like to discuss the topic, say hit the brakes. If not, me, you, and Method Man jump in the minivan and keep it moving. First up, the Hawks GM had something interesting to say about the NBA season schedule. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
The coronavirus is going to ultimately decide what happens with the NBA schedule. We can keep it moving for now.
Oh, keep it moving. Great.
Keep it moving. We keep it moving.
Ed Orgeron had something inspiring to say about his
Hit the
LSU
brakes.
team. Keep moving or hit the brakes. We will hit the brakes because we love Coach O so much. Go Tigers. And the Tigers went and registered to vote. He said the entire roster has registered to vote. What do you think, Jalen?
If you think about the mobilization that young people now have the access to information, the power and prestige universities have, and the money and awareness coaches and leadership they should have, it seems like this is something that should have been happening for decades.
Yeah.
They influence collegiate age appropriate kids. So I'm happy that Ed Ogeron is taking the initiative, and not saying that he's the only one. I'm pretty sure other coaches have probably done something sort of similar. But again, the silence of so many Big Five coaches is deafening. And Jacoby, again, I always say this. Sometimes I can't hear what you say because your actions are so loud. Can't hear y'all. It's crickets.
If you are still on this planet and you are of age, please register to vote if you are not registered to vote. Moving on, we have a new proposal about Major League Baseball returning. Keep it moving or
They're
hit the
gonna
brakes.
play baseball. Keep it moving for now.
We keep it moving.
But they missing valuable time.
One of your favorite boxers fought just last night. Keep it moving or hit the brakes. Tell the people about Shakur Stevenson, who knocked out Carabello with a body blow last night.
Oh, you see that? You see the young fella getting his power together? Body shots, southpaw, digging in there, not sitting on the ropes, attacking. You see my young fella reminding me of a modern-day Sugar Ray with his size and his charisma. Reminding me of a Floyd Money Mayweather with his ability to slip punches. Like, that's a superstar, Jacoby, in the making. I've been telling you about him for a couple of years. I got to reach out. We need to get him on the show.
I would love to have him on the show. Two boxers that Jalen Rose has been talking about for absolutely years are Terrence Crawford and Shakur Stevenson. And you've been talking about them for 3 years. It seems like the rest of the conversation is starting to catch up to you, Jalen. And Stevenson won last night, but this next boxer won the internet last night. Calvin Metcalf. Please say hit the brakes. You got to say hit the brakes. You got to say hit the brakes. Check out my man, Calvin Metcalf is fight ready. Look at the hair. Look at that beautiful hair. Jalen, what do you think about Metcalf's cut?
I love it. It reminds me of old school basketball player named Granville Waiters. You look like you have a name like that to rock a dude like that. But also, I appreciate him owning his drop top. He just owned it, and I appreciate that. And if I had to do that, I would do the same, I think.
Oh, look at what you look like. There you are right
Whoa!
there. I love the lamb chop sideburn.
No, I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to be able to do it.
Pulled up
I'm not giving y'all that. Missing. Y'all ain't getting that visual.
We need that. We need it. I know you're barber. I'm going to get Andy Authentic, and I'm going to have him to take the mirror out from in front of you and give you that cut. I'm going to pay him so much money. I can't wait. I also can't wait.
Y'all wouldn't get that visual if I was 95 years old.
You're probably going to look like that when you're 95, to be honest with you. When we come back, Reggie Bush and USC are back together. We'll discuss the implications right after this. 2 minutes and we're back. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, after 10 years, USC is going to end its disassociation with superstar running back Reggie Bush. What does that mean to you?
It was ridiculous in the first place. How many players have had allegations? How many schools have gotten suspended or got put on probation, and yet they still acknowledge the coach? That's currently happening with multiple programs in college basketball and football. Or acknowledge the player. Reggie Bush shouldn't have never been on this side of history, but I'm glad that they reversed it. He was an elected player.
Here's what this says to me. Hold on, time out. This is what this says to me. We need the University of Michigan to do the same with the Fab Five. We need a statue outside. We need a banner in Ann Arbor. You guys have done so much for that institution and that basketball program that I don't want to see you guys get celebrated when you're old and gray. I don't want to see you guys limp out there in wheelchairs and be old and gray. I want to see this happen as soon as possible. We'll be back tomorrow on ESPN at 4 o'clock. Right now it's time for Highly Questionable.
Thank you.
Dan Le Batard.
Thank you. You're far too kind.
爱很随